to Book 101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. From Confused to Capitalize. How to attract all the capital you need, revealing the secrets to securing funding from commercial lenders and investors. One of his advocacy, no other than Mr. Billy Brown.
Hey, thanks for having me tonight, Daniel. Great to be on here, and happy to share the wisdom I have about attracting capital, as well as some books that have helped me shape my career and my business that will help your audience as well.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Billy. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, I mean it's the background, of course, is golf. I'm actually grew up in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Been in Nashville for 23 years. Stumbled into finance because I ran out of money playing professional golf. Got hired as a residential loan officer. Figured out pretty quickly that I am not an inside the box type of guy, and I needed something outside the box. So I stumbled into commercial lending, and that is like the wild, wild west. I found out that not many people understood it because I was asking a lot of questions. And so I started asking questions and started teaching it and grew an audience. And all of a sudden, you have a platform to be able to teach on, as well as my company helps entrepreneurs, real estate investors place debt and find it so they don't have to try to find it on their own because it's pretty damn difficult right now. And we're really good at it and have 1,000+ lenders in our database to be able to match some debt. But yeah, I'm one of those nerdy guys that loves teaching it because debt is leverage. Debt amplifies profits, and once you understand the language of money, the language of finance, and how to attract capital, the world is your oyster. You can do basically see the world entirely different way, and it's unlimited what you can go do.
Mr. Billy Brown, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. How do you define all the capital you ever need, and how does the vary by business type or stage?
Yeah, I mean, not to sound like an attorney or a lender, but it depends. All the capital you need is depending on what your viewpoint is and what you're looking for to go leverage. Businesses that that are startups versus business existing for lines of credit. Think about it this way. And I always start with this: lending and debt amplifies profit, not is the profit. So you're taking a business model where it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a business selling goods and services or that involves real estate. When you have your income and take out expenses, you have leftover profit. That profit can be amplified. And depending on how much that profit is, that's how much you go amplify. And what that money, that debt is secured against is really determined like what type of how much and how long it is amortized. And that's the fun part to be able to kind of put it all together. So if a startup business is going to be extremely difficult to find capital, a business has been around 20 years that has a lot of assets and strong profits can be amplified through debt in a number of different ways, from the capital to the cash flow to the real estate, IP, contracts, anything that is be able to be secured through means of a lien or a pledge can be produced by debt or secured by debt. So it's a lot of fun matching that up. So there's a number of different, I don't know, there's more probably 20 or 30 different lending sources out there and lending types. And that's where it becomes kind of fun. Most people just think of like a bank or a mortgage for their house. Banks do a lot of different lending, but they do only one part of the lending. They probably take up about 60% of lending, but there's 40% out there that's non-bank. That's from life insurance companies, even SBA is part of that, to credit unions, to even private funds and private individuals. Just have idle money that want to put into play in a debt position, which is senior. and they're looking for a return when it comes to cash flow. They don't care about the equity. So that's debt's always cheaper than equity. But yeah, hopefully that helps answer that question.
Very well said, Mr. Billy. Beautifully articulated. What's the most critical factor for making a business irresistible to investors in your experience?
I mean, I talk about this often. Most people think it's the numbers. When you're attracting either, well, let's back up a little bit and say, well, how do you go get money to go grow a business? Well, you either do it one of three ways. You do, if you don't have, a rich uncle or something like that, you're going to have to pre-sell or sell your way into it. Two, you have to get investors, which costs equity, or three, you're going to have to get debt. So either sell it, be very good sales, or borrow money through debt or equity. And what I talk about the debt equity side is most of those people are looking at the jockey, not the horse. So they want to know about you. Do you have good credit? Have you paid your bills on time? Do you have character and capacity to go do this, and experience to go do it? Do you have cash in the game, like your own skin in the game? Like if you're borrowing money, they don't want the lender or the investor to have all the skin in the game as far as the cash. And the biggest one is cojones. Do you have the cojones to go run this when, not if, the what is the fan? Can you go dig yourself out of it? What other transferable skill sets or transferable stories can you share with those investors and business owners that can show that you got that business or ship out of the mud and through the troubled waters into the glorious profitability that is? Because that's one thing I hear. Most business plans look fantastic on paper. Most pro formas are fantastic on paper. But every investor that's worth their weight in salt and gold knows that there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 times, in the first 5 years, that there's going to be a lot of stress on that business owner investor. And they want to know, like, who they're giving money to can get them through it. So lean into that. And after that's just numbers. The numbers are, prove themselves as far as the marketability and all that. Like, you really have to sell yourself on, can you, are you the one? Are you the chosen one to be able to do this and be a good steward of the money, the investors or the lenders?
How can entrepreneurs craft a compelling pitch that captures investors' attention, as emphasized in sources like Forbes?
Yeah, that's a great question because you have a very short attention span from these guys. They see, investors, depending on which they are, they're seeing probably 5 to 10 different deals a day, and every deal looks the same. Same thing with lenders. They're seeing a bunch of requests every time. How you stand out is being very, very disciplined in how you present it. Very specific, very to the point. And it really goes back to, and I teach this in my little mini course there, is like how to go write that compelling story of, like, who are you? What is it they're buying into or lending into? How much do they need? Or how much do you need? What's it for? When do you need it? When you invest this money or get this money to this company, what's it going to do? So you're going to go buy widgets or buy something that's going to help increase the profitability. Well, then how much? So you need to tell that story. And then the biggest one is, what's that investor or lender going to get on the backside? Like, how are they going to get paid back? Is it, hey, we're a startup and we need money now. We're not going to need cash flow until 18 months from now, and then we're going to start paying, or there's already cash flow in place and we can pay monthly. And just that sets expectations, because where the money's coming from either a lender or an investor, has its own charge, its own employment contract, whether it's a chunk or it's monthly or a version of that. So depending on what you're putting out there as far as an offer, that's what it's going to attract. So just being very concise and very to the point, very little fluff. We call that a one pager. Like, can you get the attention of someone in one page and tell a story where all you're trying to do off of that is not sell them on investing or sell them being on a lender, but just have that conversation and start raising questions. You want them to ask questions, and of course, be prepared. be prepared with your own proof, the trust but verify. So you be able to provide the documentation that backs up your numbers, backs up your hypothesis and theories, and then be able to be bragging on yourself and team, like, hey, yeah, I've done this before. Not that you're the greatest thing in the world, but it's like, it's not new to me to go do this. Or be honest, like, hey, this is new to me, but I have these transferable skill sets. It's better to be honest with these people versus just trying to oversell yourself. But you also really want to put yourself out there. And then I say the big one right now, because their social media is out there all over the place. The first thing that an underwriter does or an analyst does, they go Google you. They go look you up on LinkedIn. If that looks like crap, you have no chance. You absolutely have no chance. It's better to have no social media presence, or no YouTube or Facebook presence or LinkedIn presence, than a crappy one. If you're out there, showing a picture of you drinking with your buddies, or in your or the better ones, when I've seen some of these guys trying to borrow money, you go look them up, and they got the flaunting lifestyle and their very fast sports car with flashing money. It's like, yeah, that's not probably your money. So we're gonna pass.
Fluff and concise for sure. Can you share a key storytelling technique that helps business emotionally connect with investors as suggested by Apple's model?
Yeah, and that's a good point, because I mean the investors, there's always got to be a story. There's got to be a compelling argument why what you're doing deserves your money. So it's not just the numbers. Again, back to telling the story of why you're doing this. Like, it's not just, it's apartment buildings. You got to tell the story of the apartment, like why investing in this apartment with our team is going to tug at your heartstrings. I mean, we're going to go change this from a class C to class B, and it's going to provide these a safe harbor in his family that are the working class families, and they need this because this central hub, or this apartment's in a central hub to be able to get on a train station or bus or whatever. And it's going to track this, and it's going to create a community. That's the stuff you lean into when you're talking about the investors, or there's emotional tie to it. Business wise too, especially if it's a family business or a business you just started, you've got to lean into that emotion of like, hey, this is why I'm starting this. And if you're not starting a business out of emotion, it's just greed, then you're not going to do very well. There's got to be a compelling reason why you started a business, and it all revolves around who you serve and why. Lean into that why. What's going to happen? But lean into why. Why you're doing it. I remember like getting my, and I lean this as well as some of the stories I tell on my YouTube channel. My dad went through a rough patch in the late 90s. It's no secret. Like, he lost his business. There was 5 years there where he was begging for money, where he didn't have to before because of the interest rate hikes. So it is very compelling for me when I talk to people like, why should I help? Why should you hire me as a commercial loan broker to help you? And I flat out tell them, here's why. It's like, my dad went through this, and I see my dad and every business owner that I talk to, like, hurting and understanding, like, even though he put on a stone face, he was hurting and losing sleep at night because he could not access the capital. And I have resources now that he doesn't. And I want to make sure that doesn't happen to someone else's dad. So that's that leaning into that emotional heartstrings. So that's why I go teach this, how to raise that capital, not raise it, but attract it. You want to be an attractor of capital, not chasing it. Because if you chase it, it's going to run away from you. But if you open your arms up and open your heart up and open your mind up and have a compelling argument, money's going to flow to you easily in abundance, because there's an amplitude of money out there looking for a good home, looking for a good steward to take care of it, and make friends and bring it back to them and be able to do good in the community. So leaning into that storytelling. There's plenty of videos out there on YouTube about how to tell a compelling story, but leaning into that and be able to just not just say it's the numbers, not be a robot, it is very important when you're talking about raising capital. And that goes to your story too. Why are you doing this? Who are you? What makes you the chosen one to be able to be a good steward of this money?
Very well said, Mr. Billy. Beautifully articulated. And how can startups demonstrate corporate social responsibility to appeal to modern investors, as noted in sustainability focused strategies?
Yeah, if you got a startup, I guess depends on how big the startup's going to be and what it's in. The attracting the capital, you're going to have to socialize in those areas of people that want to invest, and that is whether it's your local club, investment club, or some key organizations that are in that niche that you're serving. I always tell people there's if the startup, like, go to your vendors first. Go to the vendors and ask them, who would benefit from your startup, and see if they can make introductions. Because if your vendor's already in that world that's going to be serving you, they're likely serving also someone that you can collaborate with and have some money with. And also, if you're having to buy from a vendor, sometimes they'll front you the money if they believe in you, and they can be the initial seed money. That's actually really good. Um, Really good for your cloud to have a vendor like, hey, yeah, they're going to basically front us or do a lower interest loan for the equipment components, whatever, for us to get started. They're doing that hard part. We need you to help come in and do the capital, the initial operating capital, to help pay the people to go execute on the game plan. Yeah, the social side of stuff, and people, especially people I run into as entrepreneurs, especially it's what I attract is, you want to do good. You want to leave the place. You want to leave. I had a golf coach back in junior high. He actually became a college golf coach, and his parents were solid people, and they raised him and his twin sister with the motto of "Leave it better than you found it," and that goes for people too. So leave the room better than you found it. So pick up stuff. Leave the people you interact with better than you found them. And it doesn't matter if it's just small or big, but lean into them, give them something, encouragement, a hug, whatever. So that amplifies quickly. So the same thing about business is, leave it better than you found it every day. And I think that translates into the communication of, or how you communicate to investors of, like, hey, here's how we're going to leave the world a better place, and our employees a better we found them, our vendors better we found them, to tell that story of what capital really is and currency really is. And it's a transfer of energy. And that transfer of energy is, if it's positive, can be amplified, millions and millions of times throughout the humans, and just through that capital. So, yeah, lean into that social component, because people, especially people that have been doing investing for a long time, don't care about money anymore. They want to leave an impact.
Mr. Billy, as you're revealing and helping entrepreneurs, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Yeah, that's a great question. For us, it's building the database. It's getting the word out as to many people as possible. I have a number in my head to increase my newsletter to 25,000, because as boring as it sounds, about, like, hey, I talk about commercial debt. There's 33 million small businesses in the United States of America, and most of them have some sort of debt in it. So debt is very much a component of our economy, yet people don't know how to do it the right way. So I want to be able to teach people the right way to go borrow money, because on the other side of it, as a broker, I get calls all the time from sponsors and borrowers, entrepreneurs and business owners that have been in loans they can't get out of, that are killing their business, killing their families, killing their mojo, killing their sleep at night, because they can't work themselves out of it. And that component, that debt component, plays a massive part in our lives, not just on the business side, but what you're pledging to that lender to be able to pay it back, and how you're doing it affects every ounce of energy in your body. And that's what I want to get out there, is like, there's a right way and a wrong way to go do this. And you don't have to go take the first offer that you're given. If you understand how debt is structured, and how to go structure debt, and how to go attract the right capital, understand how money flows and what the instruments you need, becomes leverage in a positive way for you, where you can go, borrow a dollar and that $1 turns into three, versus having to borrow a dollar to borrow another dollar to go borrow another dollar, and it's a down cycle. So for me, it's just spreading the word about, like, there is a right way to go do this, a wrong way to do this, and being able to share that with as many people as possible. But also, my newsletters, I've been writing every Monday morning for 7 years now, and just trying to articulate the best I can, like what the economy and the macro and the micro, how it affects business owners, and how they go adapt and react. So, great question.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Billy, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to borrow funding from commercial lenders and investors?
Well, I mean, the simple answer and the most biased answer is, like, go check out my website. I learned, I have some free stuff on there. Just learn and just ask questions, um, and then you get informed as much as possible on how it works, and have outside people look at your finances and have conversations before you start signing that bottom line. A good commercial lender will actually ask you very good business questions, and it may affect how you do your business, which is great. But also, they're trying to fit your loan request into their box, and that's not always good. So you need to understand what your business model is and the cash flow, how it works, and understand how, if you added debt, how could that amplify those profits? So you're not just borrowing money just to borrow money. So that's my advice.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Billy. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Oh, I've got two. You teed me up there. So I'm a book nerd, even though I'm fail English and have a little bit of trouble reading. So my two that I like, the easy one to read is Willpower Doesn't Work. And I can't remember the author's name. I think his last name's Hardy. Willpower Doesn't Work. It's about, like, hacking your way to success. And that's actually something I did. I did, and I didn't even know I was doing it. And I love it as an former athlete. The other one is a sister book and a follow-up book to Think and Grow Rich. And this is meaty. Like, every paragraph is like a steak, an absolute steak. And you're gonna need to sit with it after you read each page. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Outwitting the Devil. And it will examine everything in your life talked about, religion, money, politics, everything. How you think, how you interact with others, how you think about yourself, is all in this book, and is just meaty and very curious. I mean, go into the curious mind and a glass of wine, and man, it will blow your mind, and you probably have to read it again. So anyway, those are my two books I recommend.
Thank you for that recommendations, Mr. Billy. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast law 101 and mental health 101. Love letters in each third season, and movie 101 review and music 101 in fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in each first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Billy, how can startups leverage government grants or subsides the fund to growth without diluting equity?
That's gonna be more nuanced question right there, quite honestly, Daniel. To end with there, that's going to be a lot more specifics. I would say be careful. If it comes to those grants and all that, you want to be able to. You want those grants; those are hard to go get. There's plenty of other lending out there that act like grants, including, especially if there's real estate involved, C-PACE financing, which is non-recourse in time to property. But there's other lending instruments out there that you don't have to go apply for grants, that are already mimic that, in a number of different ways. So that's a very nuanced question, and we'll have to dive into that another time. I know we're short on time here. So.
Mr. Billy Brown, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Can you ask that question again?
Yeah. Can you please invite our listeners to support anything that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. I would ask them to go to my website, billybrown.me. I've got a free download for our ebook. It's how to speed up your funding. Everyone wants money and they want it fast. And I show people how to get it 70% faster. So that'd be a great way to go interact with me and support me. Is just learn. And that gets you on my newsletter and just read it and interact and ask questions. Of course, you can find me on the socials at Billy Brown TN on my Instagram and as well as LinkedIn.
Yes, people ask and you will be given by Mr. Billy. Yes, people ask about Mr. Billy Brown because if you support him, for sure, more and more and more empowering advocacy to come, more and more empowering business to come. So, Mr. Billy, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
More to come, people. See you soon. Mr. Billy, I'm inviting you again.